All right, y'all. So now it is time for breakdown predictions. Got two fights coming up this weekend. I'm going to do both breakdown predictions for both of these fights. First fight is Montana De La Rosa versus Viviana Arujo, and then we got Sajara Eubank versus Carol Rosa. So yeah, first up, Montana De La Rosa versus Viviana Arujo. First, I got to say, Montana, two words that come to mind with her: young and dangerous. I know a lot of casual fans, they're quick to say she don't have a striking game. She can't strike, she can't box, she can't do any of this. But, you know, I think a lot of these casual fans, they look at the fact that she has a growing IQ. Montana's a fighter. She's always looking for a way to win. I mean, just when you think that she's out or she's about to lose, she's behind in rounds, she's bloodied up. She's coming back with something. She's always dangerous. She submitted 8 out of 11 of her opponents that she's beaten. So that tells you that she knows her way around the mat. And remember that she's only 27. So imagine when she puts that striking game together, which she's always working on her striking. They go back and watch tape. So they know that, okay, Montana, you solid on the ground. You're a solid grappler. You know how to submit fighters, but it's time to work on your striking. They're telling her that. So she is trying her best to improve that. So imagine whenever she gets her striking up to at least a B plus, she's gonna be at that next level. And you got to think she's only lost to fighters that already have got to that level before her. When you talk about the Cynthia Calvillos or the Andrea Lees, they beat her because they had good technique on their feet, or even Cynthia Calvillo, she submitted her, so those are fighters that already knew how to level up. But Montana, like I said, at 27 and she's still growing, she's going to be at that level pretty soon. She's definitely going to be at that level pretty soon. Viviana Arujo, I like her. Two words that come to mind with her is high energy. She's a fighter that brings that type of action that this division needs. She has that type of swag, the type of swagger about her. Again, that type of style that I think a lot of flyweights don't have that she needs to bring, to the table. She's a solid grappler. I think she's like a brown belt and a black belt under two different, I think under two teachers or whatever. But I think she is like a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So, she's well rounded, but she's mostly dependent on her feet. She's very in and out. She loves to strike. She has fast hands. She has solid footwork. She loves to move in and out. So when you really think about it, I think that her having to pull out of the Jennifer Maia fight, like a month back, I think this fight here might actually be a little bit more stylistically pleasing. I think this is going to be kind of like grappler versus striker at times, or vice versa. They might both want to strike. They might both want to take it to the ground. So it's one of those unpredictable type of fights, So both of these ladies, like I said, they really want to make statements in this game. And, Montana, she's dangerous right now. I feel like Montana's dangerous, and so is Viviana. So it's going to be a good fight. So real quick, man, just looking at the keys to victory for both of these fighters. Montana De La Rosa up first. Jab. I know a lot of people are going to say I'm crazy because, she can't really strike that well. Her striking is subpar. Some people are going to say it's awful. I don't think her striking is awful. I think that right now, honestly, Montana De La Rosa, her striking is a C minus. I think that from what I've seen in her past few fights, I think she's still putting it together. I think that it might be a step up in this fight, of course. I'm just going off her last one, but in this one, it might be a grade up, which I hope it is. But she is going to need to use this jab. And I think every fighter can benefit off a jab. So hopefully in this training camp, they've been working on a good jab. That jab can be your best friend, whether it is on offense or defense. And I think that Montana is going to need to use a jab as a way to really set up her range early as a measuring stick for her getting her takedowns, as well as knowing her range on Viviana's attacks. How Viviana can be in and out on her feet. She's going to need that measuring stick. So whenever Viviana steps in, she can either counter with the right hand or she can counter with the jab and get the takedown. So you need to use that jab as a range finder and a blinder. Like I always say, You know, I don't care if you're a boxer or a wrestler, everybody's going to need to use that jab at some point. You know, that jab is your best friend. That's why I said hopefully they've been working on a jab, because a jab is needed for Montana De La Rosa against a fast in and out fighter like Viviana Arujo to get your takedowns and get them clean and get a fighter down. Go in for the clinch. I think Montana's definitely going to need to go in for the clinch and close in on a faster fighter like this. And to do that, I think she needs to set it up with leg kicks early. You want to slow somebody like Viviane Araujo down. Viviane Arujo, sometimes she can kind of exert a lot of energy early in a fight. So when she starts to tire herself out, that's when she needs to start going. Montana needs to start striking to the body and using leg kicks, start closing that distance to go into the clinch and get that head control so she can use those takedowns on a tired fighter and get her to the ground and hopefully look for that submission win. So she's going to need to get her way in with a good 1-2 at times, go for that body lock, and then rush her to the cage and then try her best to, get that head control and take her down. So I think that clinch is what she's going to want to do, fight in close quarters. You don't want to let somebody like Viviana Arujo continue to move around and keep that distance, because it's just going to tire and frustrate Montana out. So close distance and go for that clinch. Use the right hand. Again, people are going to say her striking is not that good, but Montana has power. I think right now it's like undisciplined power. It's something that she's not even aware that she has, or she's not really aware on how to use it yet, but I think she definitely has power. She definitely has power. She showed it against Mara Romero Barella. She cracked was Andrea Lee. She cracked a couple times with some good right hands on the inside. So her right hand is not only got power to it, but right now, since not a lot of people are expecting Montana De La Rosa to have hands and have a striking game, she's already got one up over people. The element of surprise of that right hand. If Montana De La Rosa uses that right hand, she's going to have that element of surprise whenever she cracks Viviana Arujo a couple of times. Like Viviana, she can come straight in and out. She can dart in and out pretty fast, right? But when she's striking on the 1, 2. She's striking 1, 2, 3. Her hands are down, So much like the way Mara kind of stepped in, landed her right hand on Montana. Montana came back with a big counter right hand over the top. Montana's going to need time Viviana Arujo the same way. She's going to need to wait for her to leap in. And when she leaps in, she needs to come over the top with the right hand. That's something very, very important that she needs to really learn, and why that striking is going to be important, even if you are a grappler. So right hand is really important. Start homing in with that straight right hand on the fighter that likes to dart in and out. So, yeah, Montana, those are her keys to victory. I say jab, go in for the clinch, fight in close quarters, and use the right hand to get this fight to the ground, to make it a rough and ugly fight and to get it to the ground. Viviana Arujo, I feel like, like I said, she's a high energy fighter. She's a very good on her feet, very awkward. She kind of likes to, shoe shine a little bit, and she likes to move around the ring. She's a showman. So for Viviana Arujo, I feel like she needs to strike first and move. Much like she did against Alexa Davis, how she had some moments against Jessica Eye. I think that she really needs to use her hand speed and just pot shot from the outside. Take advantage of the weaknesses of Montana early. Jab from the outside, hit the face, hit the nose. Open up some cuts on Montana, to really frustrate her, and use that speed. Get full extension off the shots. Don't step fully in. Let the hands go and move out at an angle. Don't back straight up, because if you back straight up, the right hand that comes out straight for Montana can still catch you. So you got to dart in, dart out diagonally or sideways. Never back straight out. Strike first and move. Also, one of the little things I see she does, whenever she strikes, it's like some boxers, she throws the 1, 2, and then she kind of shoves you back. So that's something you want to do against Montana to avoid those timed clinches. Like if Montana catches you on the inside, shove back. So, you land the 1, 2, 3, shove her back. 1, 2, shove her back to find your distance again. Leg kicks. Use those leg kicks on Montana to make her think twice about coming in. Switch levels with it. Go upstairs, downstairs, kick Montana to the body, then kick her to the calf, make her think twice about coming in. Even when you throw those combinations up top, end it with a leg kick. That way tear that lead leg up, because sometimes when Montana's coming in flat-footed, that front foot is heavy. That front foot, she's putting a lot of weight on it. So it's there to be hit. If she comes in there kind of stalking forward, go ahead and tag that front foot heavy lead foot, just to kind of make her think twice about coming in. Takedowns, surprise Montana with the takedowns. Time those slower kicks from Montana. If she tries to throw a head kick, time it, grab her, and just take her to the ground. You have a ground game as well. Rujo, she has a ground game as well. So, she can make it rough and ugly. She can kind of surprise her. She takes her to the ground, get in some strikes, kind of wear Montana out, bust her up, get back up. Don't necessarily stay in there long enough for Montana to figure out a submission, figure out a way to get her, because you don't want to make it an even fight. You want to make sure you stay ahead of your game. So Viviana, use the strike, use the takedowns as like your element of surprise. So I think that's what our Rujo, she really needs to do in this fight. And last up, don't overexert yourself. Don't use all of that energy up moving around. Stop using a lot of unnecessary movement. I think that Viviana Arujo, she uses a lot of unnecessary movement. That's why by like the end of the, I'd say like maybe like by the end of the first round or second round, you see her start to kind of breathing heavy a little bit, or kind of moving a little slower. She starts too fast sometimes with the legs. Like, you can be fast and in and out, but don't use a lot of unnecessary movement, like the legs, like constantly moving in and out. I mean, you could put a little bounce to your step, but it's got to be like a reserve tank of energy, like how Manny Pacquiao, he does. Manny's fast as hell, but he can keep doing that for 12 rounds because he gives you that illusion of like everything is moving, but not everything is moving. Like his shoulders are moving, his head is twitching, his hands are moving. It kind of throws you off. And then he'll hit you with like a fast movement on the inside. Then he'll like angle out and then step back. He's not constantly like in sprint mode. Sometimes I think that Rujo, she's constantly like moving everything. That's why she's kind of like gassed out sometimes, or like her legs are gone by like the third round. So don't overexert yourself. Only use necessary speed at the right times. Can't say that enough. Can't say that enough, because I've seen her like overexert so much energy that she kind of uses up her tank by the end of the third or end of the second round. But yeah, those are the keys to victory for her. Strike first and move. Be unpredictable. Go for takedowns. And use those leg kicks. Definitely use leg kicks, and don't overexert yourself. Okay, so prediction for this fight. This is a tough call, man. This is a really, really tough call, because I feel like style-wise, this is going to be I think it's going to be a good match of styles where it's an entertaining fight. But if I had to pick, it's kind of a biased pick, and also a pick off of who's fought the more experienced fighters in the UFC. I'm going with Montana De La Rosa in this fight. I'm going to go with maybe a late round submission or a close decision in this fight. And Arujo, she has that ability to piece her up, but it's all going to come down to see if she can stay consistent and not gas herself out, Arujo, because I know that Montana De La Rosa, she can be a little bit more consistent when it comes to her energy. She's always looking for a way to win. And I think that even if she's getting outstruck, she's going to still stay in a fight until she can get you down to the ground and try to submit you or land something big. I feel like Viviana, she can kind of gas out down the stretch. So if she comes in here overexerting herself too much, in the leg with her legs again, if she comes in there moving too much and, she becomes more of a sitting target, I think that Montana is going to really keep that same energy throughout the first round, throughout the second round, throughout the third round, until she can get her down to the ground and get a lot of ground control in like the second and third round here. And like I said, if she's able to wear Arujo down, she could possibly get a submission in the third round. So I'm going to go with Montana close decision or a late round submission in this fight. But if Arujo keeps it standing and she fights smart on her feet and conserves her energy, it's possible she could come away with a decision win, by just piecing up and pot shotting Montana De La Rosa up, but don't count Montana out when it comes to her timing. If she's been working on her striking and she catches Arujo coming in with the overhand right, if she catches that chin, while it's wide open when she steps in, then the game could change. Could definitely favor Montana, even in the stand-up in that factor. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Montana by a close decision or a late round submission. Yeah, but overall, I think it's gonna be a good competitive fight.